Hey, everybody, and welcome to Beach Variety Life at the Beach. We will discuss living on campus at California State University, Long Beach. I'm your host, Jefferson Denham. We have a great show for you tonight. We have two third-year CSULB students with us to discuss their respective journeys living and working in CSULB's housing and residential life. Please join me in welcoming resident assistants Alexis Billings and Dane Johanssen. Thanks you guys so much for being with us this evening. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Alexis, no, don't hold out on me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Woo! It's a party. All right, well, let's get started. So tell us the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you. No, I'm kidding. Tell us about yourselves. Really interested in journeys. So Alexis, let's start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So I am a third year English education major, and I'm emphasizing in rhetoric and composition at the moment. I'm also a minor in history with a general emphasis in ancient civilizations and modern Europe. And I'm a second year resident assistant here on campus as well. And that's it for me.
Love it. All right, Dane, how about you?
Hello. I'm Dane, also a third year student here. Second year RA as well. Me and Alexis in the same class, so we're going for it. Yeah, so I'm a kinesiology major here with an emphasis in exercise science, and I hope to be a physical therapist when I apply to PT school. So, yeah.
Wow, I'm already impressed. Okay, so why did you choose to live on campus? And Alexis, I'll start with you again.
Sure. So I basically chose to live on campus because my family thought it'd be an amazing experience for me. All of my siblings had gone to different colleges and lived on campus, and so they very much were just pushing that experience for me. And they said that it would be an opportunity for me to get to know new students and to get to know people who are in similar major as I was, and it opened a lot of doors for me, thankfully. So yeah, that's a little bit for me.
And that makes sense. Dane, how about you?
So I just live on campus. I live a little further away from Long Beach. So I didn't want to do that commute. 2 hours drive is not always fun, especially if you have eight in the morning classes. But also I just kind of wanted to get a full college experience and kind of get used to meeting new people, trying new things, and building towards adult life and living on my own away from home. So yeah.
I think it's fabulous, and you guys are obviously getting a lot out of it. So how many dorms are there, and what are some of the differences?
Yeah, so we actually have a video to show you guys. It's something that we prepared to show the differences between the residential colleges and what we do as well.
Awesome. All right, well, let's take a look at them.
Here at California State University, Long Beach, there are 3 sets of dorms or residential colleges: Parkside, Hillside, and Beachside. First up, we have Parkside College. Parkside is one of the 2 residential colleges located on the CSULB campus. This dorm is for first-year students. There are 9 halls with suite-style double occupancy rooms. Next, we have Hillside College. This is the 2nd residential college located on campus. Hillside houses students from all academic classes. There are 7 halls with suite-style double occupancy rooms and 2 traditional halls with double occupancy rooms. Finally, we have Beachside College. This is CSULB's 3rd dorm that is located 1 mile off campus on Pacific Coast Highway. Beachside caters to students from all academic classes and transfer students. There are 2 traditional suite hybrid halls with double and triple occupancy rooms. All 3 residential colleges have their own dining halls, laundry rooms, and common study rooms to aid students in their educational careers and housing experience at California State University, Long Beach.
All right, so now that package mentioned something about double and triple occupancy rooms. So that means that you guys have a roommate? I mean, you can talk about that experience maybe? Dane, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, so Beachside is one of the few places that offers a 3-person dorm. And that experience is usually dealing with just you have a bed and then one bunk bed. So you have two on the bunk bed and then one on the side. And yeah, it's a different experience for sure. All my friends that have been in that situation, they have different experiences than most, and they really seem to enjoy it. I personally was in a double, so that was a nice experience for me because I've never had a roommate before, so got to learn a lot. And yeah, it was really cool. Got to meet a person with a different major than me, and like, yeah, it was really cool.
That is cool to be able to be, share that space and get to know somebody up close and personal. Alexis, did you live in a double suite as well?
Yes, I lived in a double suite as well at Parkside, and it was definitely an interesting experience, especially if you've never lived with anybody before, because now you're sharing a very small, tiny space with someone who you may not be very familiar with. And I remember the first night being so uncomfortable because you've never met this person before, and now you have to live and sleep in the same room as them, and they make noises that you might not be accustomed to, or maybe you make noises that they're not accustomed to. So it's a whole new experience, and a lot of residents have different experiences with their roommates. Sometimes they become best friends, and sometimes it's a little bit headbutt-like, but that's okay, because that's what we're here for.
It's all life experience. I'm curious to know what those sounds were, but I think we'll skip that for now. Audience, let your imagination run wild. So what is the dining hall like? And I'll let either one of you jump in first.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. Dining hall is different depending on which dorm you're at. I know Beachside has like an upper level, kind of like above a parking lot, so it feels like you're walking up to it. It's kind of like a cool experience. But all of them usually provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're all pretty solid. Some are better than others, obviously, but yeah, like it's a good experience. They're all very large, so there's a lot of spaces for people to hang out and eat. Parkside's a little more fancy because they have booths, so you can like hang out and stuff. And then Hillside has that like curvature, like kind of like a shrimp or like a sushi bar kind of thing, so you can like get stuff from there. And then yeah, Beachside has just kind of like its own little cafeteria setting. So yeah, they all have their unique qualities, and they both provide pretty good meals.
Got it. And you're kind of captive. I mean, it's just so convenient, isn't it, Alexis? Just to go, there it is. I'm just going to go there, right?
It's so easy, especially when it's built into your housing plan already, because you have it depends on which plan you choose, but some residents will have the minimum of 10 meals a week, and some residents will have the unlimited access where they can go in at any time of the day and eat however much they want. But there's also the catch-22 of you can have whatever you want and eat whatever you want, but then you also have to make sure that you're eating healthy, because while there is like salad bars and there's the pizza bar and there's the deli bar, you have to make sure that you're not eating too much, because that definitely can happen. That's for sure.
Right. That's kind of like the cliche, right? Now, can you tell? Right. So can you tell just by looking at people what eating plan they're on? I'm kidding. Maybe you can. I don't know if you can. So what is a typical day like for you at the dorms? Well, let me access your memory cells. Your first year, what was the typical day like for you at the dorms? And Dane, I'll start with you.
Yeah, taken back, definitely a while ago. A typical day for me was starting off with like an early morning breakfast. I had early classes, so I'd always had to get up early to get ready for the shuttle. Because Beachside's off campus, you have to take a shuttle to campus, which is provided. So you have to get up usually a little earlier than most people do. But then going to the campus for pretty much most of the day, I would go to like 5. Sometimes I would eat on campus. They have dining halls there you can go to, and also just like, convenient lunches and stuff. That's always good. After that, I would usually come back and either watch TV with my roommate or hang out with my RA and catch up on homework. And then usually I'd finish the night by like listening to music or, just doing the normal routine to get ready for bed. So not a very complicated like life, but again, everyone's experience is different. So mine was pretty simplistic.
Got it. But would you say it's also true that it's the first time you've really had to schedule yourself in such a way? Would you say that's true?
That's a really good point. I had like a pretty I had a lot of like available meals for me because my parents cooked. And like going to like, the dining hall, like managing my meal plan and like trying to figure out like how to get to campus on my own without like, carpooling with my father. It's all these things like you don't really necessarily think about in the moment, but like you have to do it because of school and like you're paying to be here. These are all things like, I'm very glad like I learned to be more responsible and like more manageable, because I feel like in the real world, that's stuff that we take for granted. And like, sometimes we dread waking up at like 6:30 to get into our 8 o'clock job, so it's those moments where like you just want to like respect the grind and realize like the journey is almost as good as the destination. So yeah.
Very well said. Alexis, to Dane's point, would you say that that's kind of what happened to you? You found a sort of a rhythm that you now had to kind of, discipline yourself, if you will?
For sure. I think that's something that I had to adjust to myself, because when you go into high school, you go from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. And that's not how my schedule looked. I had classes that were past 4 p.m. or I had classes that were at 6 p.m. And so it definitely was a difficult transition for me, because no longer was my family keeping me responsible. It was all on me. And it was all on me getting to those classes and making sure that I'm there and I'm doing my homework. And that was what was amazing. It's when you go to college, you don't expect that like you're going to have literally so much autonomy and so much of your own like responsibilities. And it's amazing, like being able to wake up in the morning and say, okay, maybe I'll have ice cream this morning, or maybe I'll have like a healthy breakfast sandwich, and then I'm going to go to class, and then I'll sit in class, and then I'll take notes, and then I'll go back and get lunch, and then I'll hang out with friends. It's amazing finding that balance of fun but work, and also like making sure that you're taking care of yourself too.
Yeah, you're finding strengths and things that you can do, your capabilities that you probably weren't aware you could do. So
Exactly.
Right. Alexis, which residential college did you live in?
Yeah, so I lived on campus at Parkside College. That was
Parkside.
Yes, at it's the freshman community, so it's all freshmen.
Oh, okay, Parkside. And then Dane, which one were you at? Were you at Beachside, you said, right?
Yeah, I was at Beachside. That one was a little more mixed. You had transfer students, you had returning students, and some freshmen sprinkled in. Okay.
And so what is your favorite memory, Dane, from the dorms from that first year? Was it something like there was a bunch of water on the floor and people were naked sliding down the floor, or no, scratch that. So like I said, what is your favorite memory from the dorms from that year?
That's a great question. I had a very positive first year experience. The late night talks till like 4 a.m. with your friends, like cramming for finals in the little study halls. You remember them all. But I think my favorite memory for sure was, it was during the first couple of weeks of housing. We were all given the opportunity to go watch the school soccer game. But a lot of my friends weren't feeling it. And they're like, it's hot today. Like, I don't really want to stand in the sun. Like, let's go back and like, let's go to the pool and like, just chill out there. So like, we were able to go to Beachside, swim in the pool, have a little pool party. I got to know my roommate a lot better around that time. So that was like a really cool bonding experience for us. I met a lot of friends I'm still friends with today. And like, yeah, it was a really cool experience. It's stuff like that like, because we're in quarantine, you forget like how great those memories were. So, yeah.
Well, that's a really good point. Alexis, how about you for your first year? What sort of memories do you have, or is there a specific memory?
I have a lot of memories. It's really fun, like what Dane was saying, you stay up really late sometimes and those talks are really memorable. But one of my favorite ones was when I was with my RA and she was putting on a social program where it was called Bird Box Night. And recently, I think in that year, Bird Box, the movie, had come out. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie, but it's about a basically apocalyptic setting where these people have to be blindfolded and they can't see, or else they'll be corrupted by individuals and they'll turn into monsters basically, and they'll lose themselves. And so the whole night she put on this obstacle course in the common room, which is like our little living room area, and you had to go in teams and you had to be blindfolded and you had to go and do this obstacle course while collecting these things. And then once that was done, we got to watch the movie, and then we watched a few other horror movies after that. So that was such a good night because we were all making fools of ourselves, trying to like stumble around these furnitures and trying to like climb the walls to grab something. It was amazing. It was really stupid though.
But it sounds like a blast. All right, well, we have to take a quick break now, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Alexis and Dane about some of the different things CSULB housing and residential life has to offer its residents. So we'll be right back. Well, welcome back, everyone. All right, now, Alexis and Dane, what are some other things that housing provides to residents? Alexis, let's start with you.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of leadership opportunities for residents. It mainly stems in RHA, which is Residential Housing Association, which puts on programs. And then we have RCC, which is the Residential, Dane, you would know the acronym better than I would, sadly.
Yeah, it's the Residence College Council, and that's kind of like your student body, like for the housing, like residents. And then we also have thematic communities, which are in charge of like keeping everyone together and like pairing people up with similar passions or desires and stuff like that.
Thematic community. So see, there's like sort of groups within the dorms themselves kind of thing? Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so what is the service center?
Yes, so the service center is where we provide students the opportunity to kind of get their mail, where they can like seek us out to make sure that they're getting the resources that they need, whether that's, oh, I need to make an appointment with the student health services, or how do I like make a payment for my meal plan, or whatever it may be. We answer those questions or redirect them to the sources that they need. And this is also the place where we would give out vacuums, where we would give them trash bags or game board or board games. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it's all good.
Anything else, Dane, that I'm missing?
Other than that, like pretty much just a place for you to grab resources. Do you have ask any information or questions? They usually provide you with like flyers or anything that you may need, or update on current events that are coming up. Yeah, it's just like a place for people to like ask for help. So yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, so now if anybody's watching this and they're considering housing, let's say they're not even at Cal State Long Beach right now, is there anything that RHA or RCC or the thematic communities or any other faction of housing did you find made you feel especially welcome and at home in the dorms? I'm sorry, Dane, you're up.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
I think, like, for me, when I was a part of RCC, that was one of those things where it was cool to be a part of a group that we could give back to a community. And I think what we realized, because one of the events we held was an escape room, and we got to like create, like, we got to rent out these, like, well, not rent out, but like occupy these like study halls and like some like actual residential rooms, and have people like work through the room and try to figure out like puzzles and stuff, and basically create like a really fun environment for them to like, you know, teamwork and collaborate and like solve these like interesting and intricate critical thinking like tasks so they could escape the room. I mean, it was a really cool event. We also are in charge of like spirit weeks, like getting school pride and like housing pride. So like those are like really cool things that like allow you to feel like a part of something, and that, you know, yeah, like you're like a home away from home essentially. So
Right. And so, you know, college can be so intimidating and you can be isolated. There's a million human beings all around you, and yet you can still be all alone. And so, Alexis, is this kind of what you experience as well? Ways to kind of not be so overwhelmed with the largesse of the student population and find ways to plug in?
Yeah, so before I was an English major, actually, I was a biology major, and I made the switch somewhere between my freshman year and my sophomore year. But when I was a biology major, I actually lived in the thematic community that was the STEM house. And so basically that in the community, you only lived with students who were a science major, a technology major, an engineering major, or a mathematics major. And so the majority of us in our building, which was around 100 residents, we were all in the same classes, or we were all taking very similar classes. And so it was very easy for me to be able to go, say, next door to my roommate or to my suite mates and being like, hey, what did you get for this problem? I don't understand this problem. And a lot of my friends who I have today are chemistry majors who are computer engineering or computer scientists. And it's really interesting being able to sit down with them and have these conversations, even though I've changed my majors or I've changed my major. And it's just, it was really beneficial for me to be in that thematic community because that's what I needed at the time to not only do really well in my classes and to get to know really amazing people, but to also figure out what was important to me and what I was passionate about. And that was English for me, not necessarily biology. So I feel even the thematic communities, even if you don't necessarily belong to them 100%, you still can gain that community and gain that sense of belonging. And that made me really feel welcome. Along with RHA had amazing programs. Like there was a horror maze, like a horror movie maze where you got to go.
I'm seeing a theme with you, Alexis.
Yes, I like horror
movies.
Yeah. And then also they did if I remember, kind of like a slip and slide during the beach days event where they put on like a slip and slide and a water balloon toss and a bunch of cool activities like that.
You guys are both alluding to the fact that, and I think anybody watching knows this, that when you go to college, it's so much more than just the classes you take and the other lessons you learn, just getting along with people, fitting in, how to manage your schedule are so important. And so just Alexis, one quick question for what you were describing. Did it help because your dorm was specifically for freshmen? Was there ways that they were really targeting freshmen to give them the lay of the land and the kind of hey, as you move into the next phase of your college career, here's some things to keep in mind. Were there things like that going on for you?
Definitely. It was much easier to cater to just like a general freshman community. And that's something I've learned as an RA who also caters to the freshman community, is that they have different needs than transfer students and for returning students because they have no idea what's going on in terms of what's on campus, what the opportunities are that we have, and jobs and future housing application stuff. Like it's really interesting being able to just specifically be like, I know you're lost. Everyone's lost. We are here together in a community of just like forgetfulness and don't know what's going on, and we're here to help you. And so that was really easy for me and really helpful for me. And I know it's helpful for them. I don't know about Dane's experience because I know Dane lived in a community that was a little bit more blended than I was in.
Dane, what would you say to that? I was a transfer student to UCLA, and I felt like I kind of knew a little bit. There were still things that you had to learn and lay of the land and such. But when you, as a transfer student, in that mixed demographic that Alexis was just alluding to, yours was a little different experience then, yes?
Yeah. So this year I've had the privilege of like working with transfer students and returning students, and their needs are very specific to like school. And like, I think when it's a freshman, you have that whole, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Like you're trying to like grasp the reality that like I'm an adult, I'm in college, I have to go to class on my own. No one's telling me what to do. But like with transfer students, they're like, I chose to be here. I want to be here. Like they have the little more go get 'em attitude. And they also are kind of just thinking big picture. And they're like thinking, well, do I go to grad school? Do I go get a job? So you have to kind of cater your knowledge and your resources towards the fact that they want to go out, like they want to like do more stuff that they need. So again, like prepare them for after, like towards their bigger goals.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I'll tell you what, you both are RAs, so we're going to talk about that. So it's time for another break. When we come back, we're going to launch into the role of a residential assistant with Alexis and Dane. Stay tuned. All right. So, everybody, welcome back, and let's jump back in. So, Alexis and Dane, and Alexis, I'll start with you. What is a resident assistant?
Yeah, so a resident assistant is someone who lives on campus and is a resource for the residents. And so, for example, I live on campus and I work with around 50 to 100 residents in my building alone. And I serve as a resource. I put on social programs. I make sure that my residents are behaving policy-wise, making sure that they're not breaking any regulations, making sure that we're building a sense of community and that they can rely on us, and that we're also a academic mentor for them if they do need anything along those lines. And I think that's it, unless Dane has anything to add.
Yeah, so you're both, and Dane, yeah, over to you. So is it also you're organizing like fun things, like you were alluding to what you guys experienced?
Yeah, it's a lot of just trying to like build like an environment where people feel welcome and like a part of something. And also like on another thing to add is that we're also emergency responders. So like we're helpful for like helping people navigate like a fire alarm or like a medical situation. Like we also help assist with that. But I think the most important thing though is we're just trying to help people. Like our core values are trying to make sure students feel like they don't have to feel like they're alone in this. They have someone there that they can go to and like guide them through a process and like, just get them where they feel like they need to go. Like college should be a fun experience. It shouldn't be something that's super stressful and like you're constantly wondering what to do. Like you should have people that can be there for you and help you with questions.
So Dane, is that why, okay, let me ask you, why did you decide to become an RA?
That's a good question because I had a very different experience than I feel like a lot of people did. I had probably one of the best RAs ever. We're still friends today. The experience was just so interesting. Like I had these like movie nights where every Saturday night we would watch like Shrek or like Back to the Future, like anything like, and he would open it up for the whole hall. So you get to meet all the like residents that lived in your community. He had these really cool like door decks he would put up, like one for each holiday and like all this stuff. He'd do pizza nights where he would just use one of the coupons he was given and then like give it out to the rest of the residents. He also had like these like also coupons for donuts. So he would go and get us donuts. I mean, he just had this incredible knack for coming up with the exact thing you needed in that exact moment. And it made my college experience so much easier because like I didn't have to worry about like not feeling like there was something for me to do or like feel isolated. I felt like I was a part of something. And I wanted to do that for other people and like help them out and I'm like be that person that like people were like, oh my God, like you make this experience like that much easier on me. And like, it reminded me of a time when I was in high school and I was given the opportunity to help people and like listen to them and like understand like how I could like how they could help themselves in a sense. And yeah, it was just that one of those things I wanted to do that for them. And yeah.
Well, Dane, what a powerful reminder it is that any little act of kindness can have this amazing ripple effect. And here it inspired you to, because you had such a great experience, to want to bring a great experience to other students. So Alexis, same question. Why did you decide to become an RA? You wanted to show horror movies all on your own this time.
Actually, that's not too far off from the truth. If I'm being honest. I just really wanted to be able to build a community or the same community that gave so much to me. I think that I wanted to gain leadership experience. I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to be a resource for my residents. And yeah, there was a lot that went into it. And I want to go into the education sector. I want to be a teacher. And I feel like this job is a great stepping stone towards that as well.
So what are some of the basic tasks an RA does?
We actually have another little segment that basically explains everything that we do. So I don't know if someone wants to show it.
All right, wonderful. Let's watch that.
So what do resident assistants do? One task RAs do is make sure everyone in the community is safe. RAs take turns walking through the halls at night to ensure safety and security. Also each night, RAs take turns holding a duty phone. This is the phone residents call if they ever need assistance. Another important task that RAs do is work in the residential college's service centers. They will log mail, answer questions, and perform other administrative tasks. RAs also utilize their creative skills to make eye-catching informational bulletin boards, fun personalized door decorations, and awesome social programs to encourage community involvement. The most important thing RAs do is be there for their residents. They serve as conflict mediators if conflicts ever arise between roommates and suitemates. They have ample amounts of knowledge about campus resources and can provide them to you. And finally, they're there to listen to you and help you through your college experience. These are just a few things that resident assistants do for their communities.
Wow, I'm impressed. It sounds like you guys do a lot. So you may have already alluded to this. But what is your favorite part of the job, Dane?
Again, there's a lot of great parts about this job, but I think honestly, my favorite part, and I've alluded to this a lot in my responses, but getting the opportunity to help people. Becoming a physical therapist, the primary job is to help people with any situation that they've been dealt and like the challenges they go through, like with their physical injuries or even just like simple like problematics. But like this is a good job for me to like interact with people and like broaden my perspective and try to help them in any way that I can.
You're right, Dane. It seems like it's aligning perfectly with who you are as a person wanting to help people. Alexis, some question. What is your favorite part of this job, being an RA?
I love the residents. They're so crazy and they're so funny and they just love life, especially the freshmen, because they just want to get to know everybody and they just want to have a good time. And it's amazing being able to work with them and make their experience even better.
All right, so Alexis, do you have any advice or tips for those who might want to be or are considering living on campus? Because you guys have both had a great experience. Some might be on the fence about this. So Alexis, starting with you, what tips or advice would you give people who are considering living on campus?
I think the best advice I can give is go in with an open mindset, be ready to engage as much as possible, put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, because everyone's uncomfortable, everyone's scared. And I think the best thing you can do is just to embrace that fear and embrace what you're going to do next and try your best, because I think you're not going to have a great experience unless you just get out of your comfort zone and try your best and make it work, I guess.
I love that. There was a quote I heard once saying that courage isn't the lack of fear. It's feeling the fear and moving forward anyway, which is what you're describing.
Exactly.
Same with you, Dane. What advice or tips would you give someone who was thinking about living on campus?
Yeah, I think for those who want to live on campus, come prepared to just make the most of your experience. Anyone that wants to like enjoy life and like have a good experience, you have to give like 100% to it. So like if there's an event going on, try to go to it. If there's like people that are studying in the common room and you want to go study in your room, maybe just sacrifice the one time and study with them. You know, get to know people in your community and like create those connections that you can social network and maybe like eventually they'll land a job for you. You never know. So like creating those bonds in college will help you create bonds maybe that you'll have for the rest of your life.
All right, so last question for both of you. What about any advice you might give anybody who's considering becoming an RA? So Dane, let's stay with you.
Yeah, this job, again, is amazing, and it's very humbling that I was able to be given this job, but it is a very time-consuming job, and you do have a lot of responsibilities. Not everyone can do this job just simply on time. I know classes, you know, demands and like maybe even working a job and doing college. So it's a very big task to time manage and understand your limitations and like what your strengths are. So, and then applying it to people that, you know, like if you were in their situation, like how would you try to make them better? So like,
yeah. So if you're watching this and you're considering it, go in with your eyes open, recognizing how much work is involved. Alexis, would you say the same thing?
I agree completely. I think being flexible is the number one thing. I think you have to be able to go with the flow as well, because sometimes residents will need your help at 3 in the morning, and sometimes you just got to do it because they come first. And that's the most important thing, is just learning your boundaries and then learning what you need, but also being able to go with the flow with what your community needs too.
Love it. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I wish we had more time, actually. I want to thank our guests, Alexis Billings and Dane Johanssen, for joining us this evening. Thank you for watching Beach Variety, Life at the Beach. I'm Jefferson Denham.